What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be talking about 7 wide receiver tips to become better this season. Let's get started. All right, so number one, guys, I think the main thing that I want to include in this video and want you guys to get out of this video is being able to sell vertical with your routes, okay? So I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand the concept of. They think, okay, I'm going to go run into this route, I'm going to slow down, and then I'm going to make my break, right? We want to make all my routes look the exact same, and I want to use my hips or the suddenness of my feet on a cut to change direction and to get out of a break or get out of the top of the route, right? So I think immediately from point A to point B, that's at least what I teach my receivers that I work with, from point A off the line to point B, which is the top of the route. Every single route has to look the same at a certain point, whether it's a slant to a 18 back to 16 yard comeback, whatever it is, or 18 back to 15. Whatever it is, it's got to look the same from point A to point B. It's got to be a fade, so you want to sell vertical. Now, how we do that is make sure that when we're running our route and I come off the line, I don't start to raise my chest up, because when I start to raise my chest up, that's an indicator to the DB. DB's in a back pedal, he starts to see me raise my chest up, he's going to put the brakes on and then go make a play on this ball, right? So we got to make sure that I keep a good explosive pad level. We want to think of it as like you're in a drive phase on a 40. You want to stay in a 45-degree angle. You want to be driving your arms, and you're trying to run full speed unless you're trying to change up the tempo on the route, but we'll get into that later. In previous videos, we've talked about that, but trying to keep a good pad level, trying to keep my eyes looking over that DB's shoulder if it's like an off-man look, keeping my eyes forward, closing that gap if he's off, right? And if he's in man coverage where he's running with me, same principle apply. I want to be full speed to really get him to be in that oh shit mode and have to turn and run with me. So I'm selling vertical, and I can snap off the route, because again, DB is a very hard position to play. Being able to break down on a dime is a tough thing for them to do, and we already have the advantage because we know when to break, we know where we're going. But as long as we can be a salesman first with my pad level, my speed, that's what'll get me some separation. All right, guys, so the next thing I want to tell you guys about is understanding a DB and when to use certain moves and certain releases off the line of scrimmage. We're going to talk about press release technique next, but I want to talk to you about understanding when to use the moves, right? So we're going to get into some of the technique after this, like I said, but when we understand what a DB is trying to accomplish, what they're trying to do by the way they're lined up, what they're trying to do based on the coverage, that's how we know when to structure my release. Now, if you want a video on how to, like the different releases you can use for the different situations with game film examples, check out that link in the description that says all wide receiver press releases. We talk about at least 15 releases you guys can use in the situations to use them, the routes to use them, the read that you need to be, when to use those, and how the DB is going to be playing you, and to understand how to set him up, okay? So check out that link in the description that says all wide receiver press releases to know when you should use these moves. We got to know when. I can't tell you how many times I've worked with a guy and they do all the releases, we work them all, but they don't understand the concept as many times as we go over it. You guys got to understand the concept and when to use moves off the line of scrimmage. All right, guys, so when it comes to releases here, I think there's 2 main keys, okay? So the 2 main keys are you want to have sudden feet and you want to have a plan for your hands, and the hands don't want to make it too complicated, right? So we got to know when we're off the line here and the DB's guarding us, we're already off press. You got to understand that he doesn't have hands on us. Press is what he gets hands on us, right? Off the jam. So we got to know, okay, I'm already off press. I just got to make sure that I keep this separation and I get up into the route, right? So whatever move that we decide to go with, whether it's a double up, whether it's just a single speed release, I got to know, again, when the situation to use it, but my feet have to be quick and I can't pop my chest up. I got to keep, again, a good pad level, and my feet got to be quick with whatever that I do, or patient if we decide to go with a slide release or a hesitation release. But then my hands, if I want to take an inside release, you got to understand that all I got to beat is his inside arm. If you could get his inside arm off of you, and then even if he recovers with that outside arm, we still got off the press, we still got to the inside. If you want to take an outside release, you just got to know if he's going to try to sit there and jam with 2 hands, I just got to beat his outside hand. So try not to make it too complicated for yourself. All right, guys, so now we're going to talk about the top of the route, how you can create energy at the top of the route and how you can create separation at the top of the route. So how we do that is, again, we've talked about this before. We want to keep a good pad level into the route. We want to be selling vertical the whole time, but we want to be able to change direction on a dime in certain situations. There's some situations a little bit more advanced where you could change up the tempo, different cuts, right? But for basic cuts in terms of a speed cut where we just snap it down, you want to make sure that I'm either violent with my hips, because that's the only way you could change direction. If you're going full speed and you try to be soft with your hips, you're going to drift and you're not going to create energy at the top of the route. The main goal is to create energy at the top of the route and to make it look like I'm selling vertical. Those are the 2 things that get you separation. We're going to talk about how to keep separation in the next little clip here. So again, I want to make sure that I'm running full speed, my hips are violent. That's how I create energy to shoot me out of the break. Now, if I'm running like a post, an out, a corner, whatever it is, you want to be sudden with your feet and you want to keep your hips committed to this break, because that's how you make your feet sudden. If you start to round this thing off and open your hips and then try to cut, again, Again, that doesn't sell vertical. That's an indicator to the DB where you're going, and you're not creating explosion, right? When I make this speak, I want to be explosive with my step, very sudden, maybe a little bit of a head and shoulder fake, a little shake here to get this DB to turn his hips. But at the top of the route, the main keys to changing direction are being violent with your hips and being as sudden as possible with your feet. All right, guys, so now we're going to talk about how to keep separation. So when you get up into a route, you want to make sure we talk about having violent hips, being sudden with your feet. But when you get out of the break, that's where you keep separation. It's a race to that ball. So let's say I'm running out here and I make this cut. I want to take my right arm and rip that thing across my body and almost try to elbow somebody behind me, so I keep my arm drive, so I run in and run out. How you keep separation on a route is you sell vertical, you get this DB to backpedal, you cut suddenly, eliminating time spent at the top of the route, and then acceleration out of the break. You don't want to stand up and jog out of the break. You want to pump your arms, drive, and run your legs out so you continue to keep separation at the top of this route. All right, guys, so now we're gonna be talking about your hands. We're gonna talk about catching in traffic. Then the next clip, we're gonna be talking about catching over the shoulder, okay? So this is a question I get asked a lot. How do I improve my hands catching in traffic, right? So I think one thing you guys should worry about is when I'm in traffic, I'm going over the middle maybe, I may be in double coverage, whatever it is, your hands wanna try to be as late as possible, okay? So let's say I'm going over the middle on a dig right here, right? And the ball's coming. I don't wanna show my hands too early, because this is the mistake I've made before, where I show my hands too early, then a linebacker's able to make a play on the ball and he knows when the ball is coming. But if I'm late with my hands, if I'm coming over the middle and it's just pop, I just catch this thing here. You see guys like Antonio Brown's a great example. Julian Edelman's a great example. It's not necessarily because their quarterbacks are throwing the ball so hard, which it certainly does help, but they'll almost catch this thing on their body sometimes because they want to make sure that I protect this ball and I don't give anybody an opportunity to make a play on this ball while I'm going up for it, right? So we got to make sure that when I'm going over the middle, my hands are late. How you guys can work this is like you could maybe stand here and have a quarterback throw to you and put your hands behind your back, and then he throws that ball, and at the last second you throw your hands up and you catch. Another way you could do it is you put tennis balls in your hands, and you're here and he throws that ball, and then at the last second you drop the tennis balls and you catch. Anything to work having late hands over the middle when we're catching in traffic. All right, guys, so now when we're catching over the shoulder, it's very similar to when we're catching in traffic. You want to make sure that when this ball's coming over the shoulder, you don't show your hands too early, because again, if I show my hands too early like this, DB's trailing me, man coverage, right? I show my hands too early, he's gonna go make a play on this ball, right? But if I'm here, and same thing applies. How you work this is, I wouldn't work this when I'm actually running, because putting your hands behind your back slows you down, but you could just stand here like this and have a quarterback throw you the ball, last second we catch. And it's very important that your eyes catch it first. If your hands are late and you're not watching this thing all the way in, which is very day one simple stuff, watching the ball in, but if we're not watching this thing with my eyes first, your eyes got to track it all the way here, we're not going to be able to make this catch. We're not going to have an effective late hand. So let's just make sure I'm not running like this, because A, it slows me down, but B, the DB knows when the ball's going to be coming. So in traffic we're late, and then over the shoulder my hands are late as well. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, guys, if you want a video of all wide receiver press releases where we talk about 10 to 15 releases, how to beat press, how you can structure your releases, check out that link in the description that says all wide receiver press releases. If you guys have any questions, please leave those in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'll see you guys next time.